Hello and welcome to Algebra 1, Lesson 31. In this video, we're going to learn about FOIL. All right, so in the last lesson, we learned all about how to multiply two or more polynomials together. Now, in this lesson, we're going to focus specifically on kind of an easy method to get the product of two binomials. So that's what FOIL is. FOIL is an easy method to find the product of, again, two binomials. So it's only going to work if I have something like x plus 5 times, let's say, 2x minus 1. Right? Those are each binomials. We multiply them together. We can use this FOIL. Or something like x minus 3 times x plus 2. Right? Two binomials being multiplied together. All right, so FOIL is an acronym. And basically, each letter stands for something. So the F in FOIL stands for first terms. So I'm going to start out by multiplying my first terms together. The O stands for outer terms. So kind of my second step would be to multiply the outer terms together. The I stands for inner terms. So my third step is to multiply the inner terms together. And then the L means the last terms or the final terms. So my final step is to multiply the final terms together. Now, when you first hear about FOIL, it seems a little confusing. You're like, well, what are the first terms? What are the outer terms? Once you do it, let's say 10 or 15 times, this becomes a method that you use for the rest of your life. I go through every time I multiply two binomials together, I use FOIL because it's just really, really easy to keep track of what's going on. So let's start out with this first problem. And the first way I'm going to do it is the way I showed you in the last lesson. So I have 2r plus 7 times 2r minus 3. So in the last lesson, I kind of took each term from the first polynomial and just multiplied it by the second. So I did 2r times 2r minus 3. And then plus, I would do 7 times 2r minus 3. And this is not wrong, right? We can still use this. So 2r times 2r is 4r squared. 2r times negative 3 is minus 6r. And then plus 7 times 2r is 14r. And then 7 times negative 3 is minus 21. So I would combine like terms here. We would have 4r squared. And then negative 6 plus 14 would be positive 8. So this would be plus 8r. And then minus 21. So you get 4r squared plus 8r minus 21. Now, if I had used FOIL, I would get the same thing. And let me kind of drag this answer up here. I'm going to erase everything else. If I used FOIL, F stands for first terms. So you multiply the first terms together. So this is the first one in this polynomial. This is the first one in this one. So 2r times 2r is 4r squared. So 2r times 2r gives me 4r squared. Then I would do my outer terms. So what's on the outside? This is on the outside. This is on the outside. So for my outer terms, I'm going to do 2r times negative 3. So 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Then times r, I get negative 6r. Then I would do my inner terms. So what's on the inside? So this is on the inside, and this is on the inside. So I get my inner terms. I get 7 times 2r. 7 times 2r. That gives me 14r. And then lastly, I do my last terms, my L or my final terms. So this is the final term here. This is the final term here. So I get 7 times negative 3. And that's negative 21. So I have 4r squared. I have negative 6r. I have 14r, and I have negative 21. So if I combine like terms, you would see that you get the exact same thing as you got here. You would end up with 4r squared. Negative 6r plus 14r, again, would be plus 8r, and then you'd have minus 21. So this FOIL method is not producing a different result. It's just a convenient way to remember how to get the product of two binomials. And again, once you start using this, you're going to love it. Something you're going to use for the rest of your life. All right, let's take a look at this one. We have 5n plus 5 times 6n minus 2. So let's use FOIL. So I want to start out with the F, first terms. So the first terms, we have 5n times 6n. 5 times 6 is 30. N times n is n squared. Now I want to use my outer terms. So here's the outer term. Here's the outer term. So my outside terms. 5n times negative 2 would be negative 10n. Now I want to do my inner terms. So I want to do 5 times 6n. So these are on the inside. 5 times 6 is 30. then times n, so 30n. Then I want to do my last or final terms. So I got 5 here as the final term, -2 here is the final term. 5 times -2 is -10. And so I've got 30n squared minus 10n plus 30n minus 10. So all I need to do now is just combine like terms here. -10n plus 30n is 20n. So this gives me a final answer of 30n squared plus 20n minus 10. All right, for the next one, I have 4x minus 5 times 5x plus 7. So again, I'm going to use FOIL. So first terms, I have 4x and I have 5x. 4x times 5x is 20x squared. Then I'm going to move to the outer terms, the O. So that's 4x times 7. 4x times 7 is 28x, so plus 28x. Then I'm going to move to my inside terms. So I have -5 and I have 5x. So -5 times 5x is -25x. Then I'm going to move to my last or final terms. So that's -5 times 7, and that's going to give me -35. So all I need to do now is just combine like terms. I have 28x minus 25x. That's going to give me 3x. So this would be 20x squared plus 3x minus 35 as my final answer. All right, what about 7x minus 7 times 4x plus 2? Again, I'm going to use FOIL. So in my first terms, I have 7x and I have 4x. 7x times 4x is 28x squared. My outer terms, 7x times 2 would be plus 14x. My inside terms, I have -7 times 4x. That's -28x. And then my last terms, I have -7 times 2. That's -14. So we end up with 28x squared. 14x minus 28x is -14x. And then minus 14. So 28x squared minus 14x minus 14 is my answer. All right, let's take a look at another one. I have -x plus 2y times 2x minus y. So I'm going to do my first terms. -x times 2x is -2x squared. I'm going to do my outer terms. -x times -y is plus xy. I'm going to do my inside terms. 2y times 2x would be plus 4xy. And then I'm going to do my last terms. 2y times -y is going to be -2y squared. So what can I do here to combine like terms? I have xy and I have 4xy. So those are like terms. So basically you think of this again as 1xy plus 4xy. 1 plus 4 is 5. So this ends up being -2x squared plus, this would be 5xy, and then minus 2y squared. Let me kind of make this a little better. Again, our answer is -2x squared plus 5xy minus 2y squared. All right, let's take a look at -5x minus 3y times 2x plus 4y. So my first terms, -5x times 2x. -5 times 2 is -10. X times x is x squared. My outer terms, -5x times 4y. That's -20xy. My inner terms, -3y times 2x. That's -6xy. And then my last or final terms, -3y times 4y is -12y squared. So here are my like terms in the middle here. -20 minus 6 would be -26. So you get -26xy. So you'd have -10x squared, and then minus 26xy, and then minus 12y squared. So again, my answer, -10x squared minus 26xy minus 12y squared. All right, for the next one, we have 3x plus 5y times -8x minus 7y. So 3x times -8x is -24x squared. Then 3x times -7y is minus 21xy. Then 5y times -8x is minus 40xy. Then 5y times -7y is minus 35y squared. All right, so now we want to combine the like terms in the middle here. So I'd have -24x squared. Gotta make that a little better. And then -21xy minus 40xy would be -61xy. And then we have minus 35y squared. So again, The answer here would be negative 24x squared minus 61xy minus 35y squared. All right, so for this last problem here, we can't use FOIL to get the product of three binomials. But what we can do is we can use FOIL for the product of any two. So if I wanted to start out by multiplying these two together, I could use FOIL here. Then once I got that product, I could multiply this guy, whatever that product is, by this guy. Again, you can only use FOIL for the product of two binomials. Very important that you understand that. So let's go ahead and use FOIL to multiply these two together. So 8x times negative 5x, that would be my first terms, and that would give me negative 40x squared. My outside terms, 8x times negative 8y, would be minus 64xy. My inside terms here, negative 2y times negative 5x, would be plus 10xy. Then my last or final terms would be negative 2y times negative 8y, which would be plus 16y squared. Now that I have this, I want to combine like terms in the middle. Negative 64xy plus 10xy is going to be negative 54xy. So I have this guy now, which is the result of the multiplication of these two binomials, and then times this guy. So I can't use FOIL here because I have a binomial times a trinomial. FOIL does not work. Please don't try that. You've got to use the original method that we talked about. So you're going to take each term of this and multiply by each term of this. So I'll do negative 40x squared times negative 5x. That's going to be 200x cubed. Then negative 40x squared times negative 5y. That's going to be plus 200x squared y. Then we'll go here. So negative 54xy times negative 5x. That's going to be positive 270x squared y. Then negative 54xy times negative 5y. That's going to be, again, positive 270xy squared. Now I'm going to take this guy and multiply it by this polynomial. So 16y squared times negative 5x. 16 times negative 5 is negative 80. So that's negative 80. And then xy squared. And then 16y squared times negative 5y. That's negative 80y cubed. All right, then this equals, so 200x cubed. And then let's take a look at this. We have x squared y, x squared y. So no other like terms. Remember, for you to have like terms, it's got to be the same variable raised to the same power. So I've got to have an x squared and then a y to the first power. So that occurs here and here. It doesn't occur here, doesn't occur here, or here. So just these two are like terms. So 200 plus 270 is 470. And then x squared y. Now I have 270xy squared and negative 80xy squared. So these are like terms. These and only these can be combined together. So 270 minus 80 is 190. So this would be plus 190 xy squared. And then lastly, I have minus 80y cubed. Nothing I can combine with that. So my answer here is 200x cubed plus 470x squared y plus 190xy squared minus 80y cubed.